I read on your website that you were busking in South Korea.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah.
Welcome, Katie Ferrara, to Home is Where the Dark Is. Thanks for coming. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So you had a little accident with your speakers? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was setting up for a gig yesterday and my speakers would not turn on, and one of them was making a very low frequency noise. So I had to take care of that before I came here.
Very important gear
Yeah.
to have.
Especially as a gigging musician, we have to make sure our equipment is working. You don't want to show up to a gig and nothing works. Luckily, I had a backup speaker.
That's one thing I think some musicians forget is like, yeah, just because some equipment has been reliable for years, that doesn't mean it can't randomly go wrong or not work or something breaks. So it's always smart to have backups of everything. But that's also a lot to carry around if you're just one person. So that's understandable. Everyone that doesn't know, you've been busking for how long now?
About 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I just want to dive into that first because I find that so fascinating, like just the busking lifestyle, and like I have so many questions for you.
Yeah.
So firstly, like what made you want to specifically focus on that compared to, playing clubs or being in the studio? And you do all those as well, but you seem to be focused on busking like the majority of the time. So what drew you to that?
I would say it was an experience that I had when I first started out in music, finding my people and also gaining experience performing. I feel that as a singer-songwriter, it's very difficult to be consistent and perform often in LA. We have open mics. We've got maybe a songwriter round once a month. And I wanted to have the experience playing, every single day and keeping my chops up, but also finding people that appreciate my style of music. And I've often felt like not that I don't belong in LA, but just like some of the circles in the city haven't necessarily catered to my style of music. And I often connect more just with strangers in the street, which is weird.
It's not weird at all. I completely relate to that.
Yeah.
It seems like you love music so much and love performing so much.
Yeah.
I totally relate to like how in LA, it could be so slow. It could be go, 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 then nothing, then go, go, go. So the fact that you want to be consistent with performing, with singing, with playing guitar, so that makes perfect sense. So you're able to do it every day. Like you can hop around LA and just really get those reps in, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like working out.
It's like
I want to
boot
do it
camp.
it's like, and if you're relying on, when is the next gig going to come? When is the next studio session going to come? It's unless you're touring constantly, which, that's a whole nother beast to tackle. But yeah, it seems like, you basically created your own lifestyle that caters to your goals as a musician. So that makes a lot of sense. So I read on your website that you were busking in South Korea.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah,
So
that was
please tell us about that, because there's a lot going on in that sentence alone, busking in South Korea. So first of all, how was that experience for you, just going there? You've been there once?
Just once.
Okay, how was that?
So a lot of us who applied, we didn't even know if the festival was going to happen. This was in 2022, and buskers from all over the world, from, like the UK, Italy, South America, you name it, just got a random email from this organization in South Korea, in Gwangju, and they said that it's a competition for a grand prize of, it was like 80 million Korean, the currency over there. Was it? Yeah, 80 million. And we all thought it was a scam. And so a lot of us were messaging each other on Instagram and through email and saying, are you going to apply to this? And So some of us did, and we heard back from them, and I had to submit 2 videos. I had to submit one for the first round, and then another one for the second round, and then 100 artists from all over the world were invited to the city of Gwangju. They booked our tickets, and they flew us out. We had to book our accommodation, and it's kind of like a Comic-Con, but for buskers, like all over the world. We met up, and we were just shocked at how well thought out and how much like money and how well thought out it went. I mean, the stage that we played on, the sound system was better than any sound system that I've played at in LA. They had a stage crew and people, they read my stage plot and did a proper sound check. They were very organized. And I thought, how does this festival like do this, bring all these people in so randomly and put together this amazing festival? It was such a great experience. Like, I met bands from just different countries, and it was so much of it was about just connecting with people, and it wasn't so much about the competition. I mean, there was money involved, and I think that was the fun aspect of it, but a lot of it was about connecting and just jamming and being open and sharing our stories. Like, we went to this bar in Gwangju, and we sang a bunch of cover songs on the stage, and I connected with the radio station there. We just made friends with each other. And that's what these festivals are about. It's just about making friends with people. And I compare that to LA. Like, I mean, I have my friends over here, but there's nothing like having that shared experience with other people of feeling like a lone wolf. You know, when you're out playing by yourself, people often come up to me especially, and to other buskers, and they say, oh, you know, you got to move along, or you got to
Really?
turn down. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Or they'll give, you know, unsolicited advice sometimes.
Oh, well, of course. So when you're busking, like, what percentage of the time are you just going to random spots, like, of your choosing, instead of like booking it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's City Walk, which is my regular place that I set up, but then there's like the Santa Monica Pier, there's Burbank, where I like to set up, and in those places there's not a specific area that I need to be in, so I kind of have to work with the people around me. Sometimes a DJ will show up or a dancer will show up, and I'm like fighting for sound space.
Oh God.
Yeah, so there's the shared experience of sometimes you're not always welcome in an area, but also just feeling like you're alone in your pursuit of your music. And I think, you know, meeting other people who also had that experience of like just trying to play their music and pursue that was a great experience to be around people who had the same feeling.
It's set on, I believe, if I read it correctly, you made 5th place.
I made 5th place.
That's awesome. Out of 100. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know how they specifically scouted these 100 artists from all around the world, or was it just like, is there like some kind of union or group or online group of buskers that can be looked at? Okay.
So yeah, on busk.co is the website for many of the buskers in the UK, at least, and in Europe. So I think they must have scouted out some of the performers from that website, but also from Instagram Reels and Who's Going Viral.
You know, what was your main takeaway from that event?
My main takeaway, again, it wasn't so much about the competition. It was about being present and enjoying the moment and being around people who enjoy playing music for the sake of playing music.
Awesome. How did you like the culture?
I loved it there. We went to several locations. I'm trying to remember now because it's been like so long, but we went to a medieval castle in one city, and then the festival, they paid for all this. They took us to these different places just to show us a little bit of the culture. They also took us to an authentic Korean barbecue, and we made our own dinner there. And we went to several museums about Asian culture. And there was a tea ceremony that we went to. So it wasn't just about the music. It was about sharing culture.
In our country, we have a lot of news that paints really bad pictures
Yeah.
of other cultures, and most of it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's just really sad because then you meet people that have actually traveled the world, and 99% of it isn't true. And like there's just love and art and culture everywhere.
Yeah.
You just have to go and experience for yourself. So that's great that you had that experience.
Yeah.
Give me one of the craziest experiences you had busking, like maybe with something someone has said to you, or like something that has gone wrong. Like give us a crazy story that pops out in your memory, like the first thing.
I when you say that, I think of my Instagram and my TikTok posts, because speaking of unsolicited advice, I get that a lot.
Yeah, one of the give us something like real good, like something that immediately comes to your mind.
Well, it was the one post. I had this guy come up to me, and I get this a lot actually as an artist. Why don't you go on The Voice? And people think it's a compliment. I can see where they're coming from, and I think when people say that, I think people see artists, and it's more about them being heard.
Yeah.
And less about them giving the advice. They just want someone to validate what they're saying and their insights. But I mean, he was telling me, he's like, I play guitar, and I've been playing for 2 years, and I've written songs, and this deserves $2.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that and the other guy on the Santa Monica Pier. I remember I was performing, and he kept interrupting me.
Oh God. Like
As I
yelling
was
or
playing.
what?
What was that?
Was he like yelling over your music or what?
He was saying, "Oh, Fender's better," and telling me how to play the guitar, like saying play G, C, and D,
Like heckling you?
just heckling a little bit. And
Man.
in those situations, I just smiled and nodded and just thought, this isn't about me. This is about the person. I encounter a lot of people that I think they're in pain.
Oh yeah.
I think they're in pain, and they see an artist, and they see the artist as someone who can just give them attention or some sort of validation. So I just smile, and and then I play another song, and they go away.
Yeah, that's
great.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I encounter homeless people when I'm playing, and it's difficult because I think there's also a misconception about the homeless. A lot of the time, homeless they give me money.
Really?
And I'm like, I don't need this as much as you do. But sometimes, you just being there and providing a calming environment is actually value to somebody who's going through a really tough time, and you have no idea what they're going through. There was one time I was in Burbank, and this woman, she didn't have a place to stay, and she was sleeping on one of the benches, and yeah, she gave me her money, and I was like shocked at it, and I thought, why are you giving this to me? And she just liked my voice. She just liked the fact that I was just there providing some sort of comfort, and it got me thinking a lot about people who don't have a place to live, because a lot of it isn't necessarily, they're not all drug addicts. They're not all, They don't all have psychological issues going on. Sometimes people are just down on their luck.
There's like quite a few different channels I watch on YouTube of like there's these creators that they go out and they visit like homeless encampments, and they go all around the world or all around America and Los Angeles and San Francisco, and just seeing a lot of this stuff up close and personal, like in these videos. Like I've been down to like Skid Row a few times, not recently, but seeing like how kind the majority of the homeless are, and it's so heartwarming to see. Like they'll, someone just gave them $2, but then they turned around and gave it to, their friend that really needed it more, and they all need it obviously, but it's really heartwarming because it's not about money. It's just about love and taking care of one another. And yeah, that doesn't surprise me one bit to hear that a homeless person would, give you their change or their whatever money they have, like as you're singing for them. So that's really sweet. Have you ever gone down to Venice to busk, or is it too crazy?
I haven't gone down there. I think I know it's easy to perform there. You don't need a permit. You show up at one of the stars, but I've never wanted to take someone's spot because I think there's regulars there.
Yeah, there's so many people doing that down there. So I was just curious if you've ever done that, because it's like, it's really, it seems like a lot of fun, but yeah, there are so many people doing it. Just a lot of people, a lot of traffic in that area.
Yeah, it is definitely a good place for foot traffic.
Tell us about your music. Like, do you have, you mentioned to me before that you have like an album in the works, or that it's being mixed, or you have unreleased songs that are being ready to be released. So can you tell us a little bit about what you have coming up?
Yeah. So, recently I signed an indie deal. So I signed with Chance Recordings, and we're working on putting out some singles that I've been sitting on, but also an album that is being mastered at the moment. And the next song that's coming out, it's actually a political song. So speaking of politics,
nice.
When you asked me like, oh, we'll leave out politics. I'm like, well, maybe we don't have to leave out politics, because my next song, it's about our country. And I wanted to write a song that talks about both sides, and a song that unifies and takes the point of view of the people and how they feel about the state of this country. And then I don't know if I did a good job with it, but I made some commentary about social media and the way that the history books are written. I feel that the history books are written by the people who win wars, and there's more than one story out there.
What's the name of the song?
It's called Please Come Back.
Nice. And is this a topic that you touch on often in your music, or is this a new type of...
It's a new topic. Most of the topics that I've written about are like relationships, love, self-love. I've never written a political song. So
were you a little hesitant, or you're just like, no, I got to get this out?
I was hesitant about it. I've been sitting on it for a while because I think the internet is very sensitive.
Of course, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
You can, yeah. I mean, people are very opinionated.
Yeah.
People have a lot to say behind their laptop.
Yes.
Not in person, but behind the screen, through the keyboard they do. So, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that's great if it's, you're speaking your truth, you're saying what you want to say, and the people that get it will get it, and people that don't, well, they'll probably hate on it, but it'll get you more views anyway. So perfect. That's like, to me, it's all good. Like I think you can hate what I do or love it. And I like both of those. But what sucks is when you get crickets, you get no one saying anything. That's when you're like, oh crap.
Well, I think that's where I'm growing as an artist, is finding ways to speak my truth and take a side. And maybe not everybody is going to agree, but I think that's the beauty of art, in that you're not lukewarm with it. You're really saying something, and it gets people to think.
Yeah.
That's why we make art. It gets people to think.
Awesome. So when is so you're just waiting for the masters for that?
For the album, yes. For the song is going to come out July 4th.
Oh, cool. Oh, perfect.
Independence Day. Yeah.
Nice. Greetings, music makers, music producers, engineers, mixers, mastering engineers, all the audio nerd people. Get more vibe in your music with Kush Audio. This company is extremely unique. I've tried all kinds of different plugins and analog gear in my career, and these guys have something really special going on. It took me a little while to get used to what they're doing, but now that I get it and I understand it, I'm on board. So they make all kinds of great plugins. If you go to thehouseofkush.com, you could grab some plugins. You can get the Kush Complete Bundle, which is only $9.99 a month. Some of their plugins are LG Drive, 2-stage tube saturation, Bliss, master channel EQ, Silica, dual diode compressor, Omega AR1, gold plate, Pusher, Novatron, Clariphonic, Hammer. They have all kinds of great plugins. I was just using the Silica on a mix. It sounds really good. And my personal favorite 500 series unit they have is the Electra 500 series, Electrified Transient EQ. It sounds great. I'm actually recording through the Electra right now, so I'm going to tweak the EQ as I'm speaking right now. Electra 500 series EQ. See, I'm boosting right here. I'm boosting around 7K back to 0 and removing some 7. Now I'm going to just keep it boosted a little bit, having some low end boost, cutting low end, boosting low end. There it is. So I'm going to leave it right there. So here's with the EQ, here's without the EQ, with the EQ. Yeah, there's a bit of a gain boost, but I'm actually running it through a compressor as well, just to even out the levels. But I just want to give you a quick demonstration of the Electra 500 series EQ. If you'd like to check out Kush Audio, go to thehouseofkush.com. We recently put out a track called Final Message, and if you haven't heard it yet, check it out. And Katie did an awesome job on the vocals. So when you came in here and recorded it, it was exactly how I was hearing it. And I think with the music video, everything came together great. So thank you for doing that, by the way. I really appreciate it. And how did that feel for you? Because I know we've only worked together a couple times, and I'm like, here's my music. Do you like it? Sing on it. So how did you feel recording it? And like, did the message hit home for you, or how did you feel about performing the song?
Yeah, when you first sent me the song, I didn't quite know, okay, what is this about? But I could sense that, okay, there's someone may have died. There's a sense of loss, and I didn't know the whole backstory. But I feel like when I learn other people's music, I always try and insert myself into the music and how I would feel in that situation, because I've also experienced loss in my life, and I just enjoyed working with you also because there was direction in the vocal production. And most of the time when I'm in the studio, I do what I think is right. But sometimes it's nice to have someone go verse, chorus, and really think about, what do I want? What technique do I want to use? And that's really helpful to me as an artist, because sometimes my idea, maybe it could be a lot better if somebody else was there and they can provide that objective opinion. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciated that. And then also learning the backstory, and it made me feel like, this song has a purpose, and it just made the performance even stronger because I knew that this meant so much to you.
Yeah, it does. And thank you for saying that. I felt the same way. Like when you came in, we had worked together previously on another song, but I don't know, there's something about that first song we did. At the time, I don't think I wasn't in the right headspace to make it work, but I brought the session back up like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, wait, what's wrong with me? Like, this sounds awesome. So I'm going to like work on it and probably want to put that on out too in the future. But, kind of go through phases musically, and sometimes I'm like really into one thing and I go that direction, and then I lose, I don't know. But what you did on this track was awesome, and I really appreciate that you came in like a professional both times, and all the ideas I'm giving you, you're just like nail it. So it really shows how your experience and your day-to-day practice at your craft is really, really paid off, because like I've worked with so many vocalists and I've been in the studio for so many years with so many different musicians, and I can tell you you're professional and you're great, and you come in, you nail it, and that's saying a lot, because I'm telling you, like, most of the time it's not always easy. It's like pulling teeth, and it's like, okay, well, here's the melody, let's try an octave up, let's try some harmonies, let's just any kind of slight change sometimes really throws people off, but you're very quick on your feet with it, and you're like, okay, you're very adaptable. So I love that. And yeah. So, and actually, I don't know if you remember, but I discovered you through Warren Hewitt.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, she has a very there's something very unique and special about your voice that I immediately recognized. I forgot what song you guys are doing. You're doing like some song for one of his tutorial videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna keep my eye on her. And then a couple of years later, I was like, hey, do you want to do this track? And they're like, sure. I was like, oh, cool. Because that's another thing about LA is people say they're open to work and to make music and collaborate. And of course, you have to like the music. But I found that a lot of people they say that, but then when they're approached, they're like taken aback, or they're like, how dare you ask me to work? Like, how dare you ask to work with me? Like that kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's just so, it's just like, well, what are you, I don't know. But you were very like warm and cool about it. So yeah, that was awesome. So
yeah, I've had that experience, wanting to work with someone, and I think at the end of it, you have to be in it for the music. I mean, who cares about your ego? And
oh yeah, for sure. But I understand, like, if you're approached by someone and they're like, hey, I have this track, would you like to sing on it? What's your rate? You'll be paid, all that. And but if you just don't like it, that makes it's obviously, it makes perfect sense to be like, oh, no thank you, or oh, this is not my type of music. You could just say like, no thanks, I'm not interested, or actually I have someone that would be perfect. But to me, it's just so rude to just straight up ignore people. Like, and I understand that things get lost and emails and messages get lost, but I've had people reach out. I've even had people reach out to work with me, and then I get back to them, and then they disappear. It's like, it's strange, but
yeah,
that's the thing about working in music with artistic people, is that every single project is a different experience.
Yes.
You never know, like, okay, just because I've used this technique, or I've used this, because when it comes down to it, it's like every experience is like a new psychological learning experience.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm seeing a pattern with this person that I've seen with a bunch of people in the past, so I'm going to apply that. I'm going to respond in this way, but then it completely backfires. And you're like, shit. It's just every time it's a brand new experience that you don't know what you're going to get. So yeah, everyone check out our track, Final Message.
Check it out.
And we did a video for it with Vicente Cordero of Industrialism Films, and I think it came out really good. And yeah, you did great in the video. How was that experience for you?
I love the space. I just want to give a shout out to the Enchanted Manor, because I love like anything mystical, like bohemian, just fantasy. The space was beautiful. Working with a director, that was the first time that I had really worked with someone who could give me direction. But most of the time I'm on the seat of my pants. I'm making a music video. It's very low budget and I don't know what I'm doing. And it was nice to have a team there. And I also enjoyed the theme, the outfits that we wore, and just the vibe. It was a great vibe.
Yeah, I think it fit with the song perfectly.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't sure what we were going to get with that, because I just saw I saw it on Peerspace, and I was like, this looks awesome. Let's give it a shot. It was just completely like, okay, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's try it. And it actually, I was talking to Vicente about it. I'm like, yeah, it just, you blended in perfectly with the environment, and yeah, it fit the vibe of the song totally.
Yeah.
So.
I like Peerspace. I like that site because you can find different spaces with multiple scenes that will work well. And I think variety is so important when you're shooting, not to just have one space, but what if it doesn't work out there? Then you could just move to another room.
You just signed with this new company and you have an album coming out. So how do you feel about our modern music industry and the world of streaming, and what artists are being compensated? Because it's a very controversial topic, I know, and I have strong feelings about certain things, but I'm just curious, where do you stand with it? How do you feel about it in general?
I think now more than ever, artists are more of influencers on social media, and music has become a back burner in many ways. And the people who value music in the sense of they're paying for it, that a lot of those people are an older generation. The younger generation listens to music on TikTok and find their new songs on Spotify playlists. And it's really difficult as an artist to stand out because thousands of tracks are being released to Spotify every single day. So then I think as an artist, what matters is reaching the people on a grassroots level, reaching the people on a community level, rather than thinking, okay, I need to mass promote to everyone. Yeah. Because that never works. I don't think it ever has worked in the music industry. And in fact, I think there's two industries. I think there's the Grammy industry, and then you've got the indie industry, where most of us are in that boat. Most of us aren't Taylor Swift or Beyonce. Most of us are just people who love creating and want their community. And I think if you focus on that as an indie artist, it doesn't matter where the industry's going. You'll always have people who appreciate your music. There's always a niche for you. It's just knowing how to communicate with that group of people. And it doesn't even matter what the technology is. Are you able to talk to somebody and really, really connect with them? So much of music is not necessarily about the music, but just finding a way to talk to people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all about connection, and like we were talking about before, connection and your truth, and communicating and finding your people. And it's all it should be all love and communication, and I think it is. But I agree with you when you said it does feel like it's split. The industry is split into groups. And they say there's no gatekeepers anymore, but I still feel like there are.
I still feel that.
There's no more. Anyone can release a record. Anyone can make a music video. So you have no excuses. But that's true. But there's only so much you can do to get to a certain point, unless you know the right person, and that in a way that person is the gatekeeper, that can connect you to this person, that can connect you to this person, that'll get you on this label, that will get you this deal, that will blah blah blah. It's all still about who you know.
I also wanted to say that I still think that we need the record labels. We as indie artists need, if it's not a record label, we need a support team, because you can release music on your own and have a distributor, you can put it on social media, but the amount of time and effort that it takes to manage all of that, no one person should be doing that on their own. You really need people to to help, and that's where the record labels come in, or artist collectives come in.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot. I mean, like I was talking to you when we were shooting the video. Like it's taken me, years to figure out what works for me as an independent artist and producer. But like you have to have everything lined up, and these are things that labels just do by default. They have their staff that are specifically, okay, you're doing the ASCAP, you're doing the sound exchange. Like everyone has their role and they manage all that. But if you're independent and you're doing it on your own, like I now just finally have like a solid system where, okay, my ASCAP is set up perfectly, my song trust is perfect, it's all like it's taken time to figure out, okay, how do I need to be locked in to get all of what I'm owed legally with my royalties and etc. And it's a lot to navigate, and it's very messy, and there's nothing streamlined about it.
Well, I think a lot of it boils down to time management and organization.
Yeah.
And if you can get that down as an independent artist, then you're set. You can just release music. But a lot of us, like, I'm just now doing all my metadata for my songs.
That's fun.
And not a lot of songwriters know when you create a song, okay, now you have to tag all of that and then put it in a place where it's ready to send off to a licensing sync agent, anybody who wants to use the track. Then you have your copyright, then you have your ASCAP. Making sure all of the business side is lined up is so important. And most songwriters, they're not doing that.
I think it's because, most artists are artists and they want to be artists.
Yeah.
So it's not saying that they couldn't do this stuff, like, because, I'm able to do it because I'm a very, very organized person, and it's taken years for me to like develop I have a very like regimented schedule and routine, and I'm very like snapped into that, but not everyone lives life that way. And I understand that, and I understand like, okay, I work on music, like not even, most of my day is doing computer stuff and emails and locking all that stuff in, and maybe I work on music for 2 or 3 hours a day. The rest is all, admin. And that's just what has to happen. So how do you see the future though? Do you have any, like, have you thought about that, or are you kind of just focusing on writing your music and continuing to do what you do? Like, because I have my theories, but I think, unfortunately there's going to be a new way. There's going to be like something after Spotify. I don't know what, but it might be like an AI thing or some new integrated AI with music app. I don't know, but it seems like it's going in that direction. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or
I completely agree with you in that the apps are constantly changing. There's always a new app that comes out every 2 years. And I think a lot of artists ride on the success of being the first to get on that app and boost their fan base that way. So if you're up to date with technology, then that's an opportunity for you to just build your fan base. But I think there's techniques that will always help you, and that's being a good musician and just practicing every single day. Working on your communication skills, meeting people in real life. I mean, we talk about AI. It's a tool at the end of the day. I'm very much about finding people who want to be in the here and now.
It seems like people are more focused on their social media profiles and their views and their engagement and their blah, 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 than actually being, than actually taking the time to develop their skills and to hone their craft as a musician. As long as I have the likes and the views and the look, then that'll come later. It's so refreshing when I meet someone that actually plays their instrument every day and actually works on what they say they do every day, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm practicing new music and I'm not getting paid for that to practice. I'm writing songs. I'm not getting paid for that. Sometimes I do a gig and it's not even well paid, and I'm just there because I want to maintain my chops.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important because when the opportunities come, you're ready. You're ready for them. And you don't know when that's going to come. So being able to just play for the sake of of playing and write because you really believe in something, I think that will always triumph over popularity or any sort of app out there. And people don't like what I say. I know that people are going to disagree with me, but that's how I feel. I don't want to say I don't go with trends, because I've hopped onto some of the trends on TikTok, and I realize you have to post every single day. I try my best to do that, but at the end of it, I think when you think about success too, success is up to the individual. It's how you define it. It's not how other people define success.
So, Katie, what has been one of the darkest periods in your career, and what did you do to overcome it?
Oh, wow. I knew this question was coming. The pandemic. I lost all of my gigs in 1 week. And I didn't do music for an entire year. I went back to teaching. I was a pod leader for a school, and I worked with kids. And, I still struggle. Post-pandemic, as I get older, I feel that it's difficult as an artist, because, again, I sometimes feel I'm a lone wolf in that my friends are getting married or getting divorced. Parents are dying. People are moving away, buying houses. And here I am still working on my art, and I have people around me saying, when are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a real job? And, I can understand that, but it's difficult, I think, to have support around what you do. And I think I don't want to say my dark period is now, but I think, especially during the pandemic, I felt that way. I felt like my social support was disappearing. And especially as I'm getting older as an artist, just finding people who are also maybe not doing what society is doing.
I relate. Thank you for sharing that too. And I can relate, because, it's what we're doing as artists, as musicians, as people in the entertainments and arts. It's very against the grain. It's very non-conformist. And that's what they're saying, like, oh, conform like I did. Like, most of the people that say that kind of stuff, they're sitting there, they're, miserable because they didn't stick with their passion, right? Or they took the safe route. But, it's very difficult. I completely relate, because that temptation is always there. It's like, maybe they're right. Maybe it could be easier. Maybe I should do that. But yeah, it always ends up being pushed away, because I think once you're in it, like, you're definitely a lifer. I could sense that about you. Like, you're in it for life. So you just got to ride the wave.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we have to just find a way to do it no matter what. You might have to get a day job as you get older. But it doesn't mean that you quit your dreams. I know a lot of artists that, become mothers, and they still write songs. They still manage to find the time to write. You might move. Life, you can't wait for other people, is what I'm trying to say. You can't wait for other people to pursue your dreams. I think more than ever, especially now, I've definitely felt like I've needed to find a lot of strength within myself. When I was younger, in my 20s, it was easier to rely on my luck, my good luck. And these days, I'm spending more of my time thinking about gratitude and what I already have, and looking back and thinking, like, you've done a lot. You've put a lot of work in. And that's kind of what's keeping me going, is realizing, like, I am abundant.
Yeah.
I am abundant. I don't have to try so hard to win people over.
That's what our purpose is following that. It's following that unrelenting force that pushes us forward, that even though at times it seems completely crazy and insane and impossible, but it's always there. Well, Katie, thank you so much for coming and
Yeah.
for sharing your, part of your story. And I really enjoy the track we did together.
Yeah.
Where can everybody find you on social medias?
You can find me at Katie Ferrara Official on Instagram and on TikTok. I'm also on Facebook at Katie Ferrara Music and on YouTube. And you can also visit my website at katieferrara.com.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Bye.